welcome back. So today I'm going to be talking about dyslexia. About 10 to 15% of the population have some form of it. I fall into that bracket. And a while ago on Facebook there was a thing that I came across that said 20 things to remember if you love someone that's dyslexic. Now I'm just going to go through those 20 points. I'm going to throw some bits and pieces of my own in there as well, just so people can have an understanding of what it's like if you do have it. And also some of the challenges that people do face on a daily basis when they do have this difficulty. So I'm going to start by going through the 20 things, and then I'll move on to add some additional input into it. So number one, they have life challenges. Dyslexia is much more than having difficulty reading, writing and using numbers. They see the world in a completely different way, communicate differently and have trouble organising things. Some people describe it as a lifestyle challenge, others as a lifestyle curse, because it can affect almost all aspects of their lives, and that is certainly true. I'll come to some of my experiences shortly. Despite their high intelligence, and because there are so many different perspectives at once, they can appear incoherent in conversation. They can come out with strange ideas and lack the ability to check if their thoughts are suitable for conversation. They can seem almost autistic because they're often unaware of social rules, and that one's very true. And that's something that I certainly struggle with. Number three is they find details exhausting. Because their brain is less efficient at processing letters and sounds, it has to work harder, much harder. So any time spent reading, using numbers or focusing on details is really, really exhausting. They function differently on different days. This is number four. Some days they seem to function better than others. They can appear to be improving other days. It's like everything is other days it's like everything is getting worse. There is no reason for the pattern, it just is. And again, that's something I can definitely relate to. Number five, they are highly creative. Now again, this is something I can sort of relate to as well. Their ability to view the world from all aspects makes them highly creative. They can come up with widely creative ideas, partly because they're not constrained by the laws of physics, mathematical logic, or the impossible. Number six is they see things that others don't. And again, this is something I can relate to. Like words moving on a page, or even the page and letters flipping about, you know how challenging it can be to read letters and numbers in a capture. Imagine reading a whole book like that, or reading a book through a magnifying lens that a child is holding and moving about. They can even see the word cat more than 40 different ways. Well, I didn't know that. Number seven, they get overwhelmed by what they see. They see so many possibilities that their thoughts can become garbled and distorted. It's hard to sort through that all information and work out what's important and appropriate. Without the ability to filter, this special gift becomes a tragic, confusing disability. 8. They are more likely to have ADD. People with dyslexia are more likely to have ADD. About 40% of dyslexia have ADD, and 60% of people with ADD have dyslexia. I don't know about that one, but this is obviously something that someone's put together. So they can find it. This is number 9. So nearly halfway through. They can find. See, this is what I mean. They can fully believe they've told you something that they haven't, or swear to you they haven't told you something that you have. Often they will express themselves in such a unique way that their message hasn't come across coherently, and they may not realise that this aspect of their communication is part of their dyslexia. And again, that's something that, I often think that I've told somebody something and I'm very insistent that I have, and I may have thought about it, and I may have thought of telling that person, and then my brain has gone forward to a point where it believes I have actually done that, even though I haven't. And likewise, I will tell people something 7 or 8 times, and they're like, "Yes, you already told me that." No, I haven't. But we'll move on to find the details and things in a minute. So number 10, they may not know they have dyslexia. I do. I have had a proper test. According to the Mayo Clinic, dyslexia can go undiagnosed for years and may not be recognised until adulthood. This is one reason why it's hard to calculate the number of people with dyslexia, and unfortunately people with undiagnosed dyslexia often label themselves as stupid or slow. It's not just yourself that labels you that way, it's something that I'm still to this day trying to get myself over. But as I'll come to later, a lot of other people will deem the same as well, and it's actually far from the truth. So they think in pictures instead of words. Not surprisingly, they tend to be highly visual. I think that's in my notes of things I'm going to come to later. Think in pictures and utilise visual aids to help them plan and organise their lives rather than using self-talk, thought. Sorry, let me try that again. Number 11 is. So they think in pictures instead of words. Not surprisingly, they tend to be highly visual, think in pictures and utilise visual aids to help them plan and organise their lives rather than using self-talk. Their thought process are more subliminal. Most people with dyslexia are not even aware they do this. Number 12, they will always have dyslexia. They can learn to read and spell, but they will always have dyslexia. To make life easier, a font and a dictionary specifically for people with dyslexia are on their way. Oh, that'll be good. The font is designed to avoid confusion and add clarity, where the dictionary will favour the meaning over alphabetical order. They use their brain differently. This is number 13. People with dyslexia don't use their brain in the same way most of us do. Their brain utilises the left hemisphere, the area required for reading, and the bridge of tissue between the two sides of the brain, the corpus callosum, doesn't function in the same way. So their brain doesn't always direct information to the correct place for processing. Again, that's something I'm going to touch on later. 14. They get it from their family. Dyslexia is inherited, and most people with dyslexia have an aunt, uncle, or parent or grandparent with dyslexia. Scientists have discovered that the DCD2 appears to be the dyslexic gene. Number 15. Number 15. They often have low self-esteem. People with dyslexia are just as intelligent as the rest of us, and they are fully aware that other people can read and write much more easily than they can, so they feel stupid compared to other people. Albert Einstein said, "Everybody is a genius, but if we judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life thinking it's stupid." 16. They have different symptoms, and this is one I'll come back to later. Dyslexia is a tricky thing because no two people have the same exact symptoms. Some lose things or have poor organisational skills. Some are slow at reading or have poor comprehension. Some may have difficulty organising ideas to write or to have difficulty processing auditory information. Some also have difficulty sequencing the days of the week, months or year. It took me years to be able to get all the months in order. Sometimes I still miss one out occasionally. Couldn't tell you which one it is I miss out though. Number 17. They are full of contradictions. They may be highly aware of their environment but appear lost. They may recognise or read a word on a page but be unable to recognise it on the next. Their brains are often too fast but appear slow because they are filtering through the possibilities that they see. People with dyslexia are often good at reading people and have great people skills. They usually have fantastic memories and rely on them. They are often good at spoken language and frequently sporadically talented thinking Oh, let me just, sorry, I may have misread that. Let me try that again. So this is number 18, so we've only got 2 more after this. People with dyslexia are often very good at reading people and have great people skills. They usually have fantastic memories and rely on them. They're often good at spoken language and frequently see, this is the trouble. This now you're getting a sparsely talented. I'm not sure what that is. Think architects, engineers, artists, and craftspeople. They are highly intelligent and intrusive with vivid imaginations. I'll try and put the link to this as well in the video so other people can read through this. 19. They can be incredibly successful. People with dyslexia can be incredibly successful, often because of their dyslexia. Famous people with dyslexia include entertainers like Whoopi Goldberg, Jay Leno, Henry Winkler, Danny Glover, and Cher, as well as artists like Leonardo da Vinci, Tommy Hilfiger, Andy Warhol, and Pablo Picasso. Carol Gardner, and I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce that name, utilise their dyslexia to become Nobel Prize-winning scientists. People with dyslexia often go on to be writers and journalists like Scott Adams, Agatha Christie, F. Scott Fitzgerald, and Fanny Flagg. And last but not least, number 20. They can change the world. People with dyslexia can and have changed the world. People like George Washington, Richard Branson, Henry Ford, Steven Spielberg have changed and continue to change the world that we live in. People with dyslexia are kind, creative, highly intelligent beings who are just frustrated with their inabilities as they frustrated at their inabilities as you are. They just can't take a break from the way their mind works. Instead, they rely on people to love them, help them, and implement the world, and to help them function in a world that is not adjusted to their needs. Yes, it can be frustrating to love them at times. This is obviously because this was about loving somebody with it. But they have an incredible, unique, world-changing gift, and with your help, maybe that person you love can change the world too. So I'll put the link for that down in the description. Now, just to sort of go through it a little bit more. And I mean, I think this is one of the key things, especially for employers, because they seem to struggle to understand people with dyslexia, and I think one of the main reasons for that is every single person that has it is different, and it affects every single person differently. I mean, for the most part, my reading isn't too bad. My spelling is appalling. My handwriting is not great, I will admit, but it's legible. And when it comes to my things like my spelling, I struggle much more with smaller words and bigger words. I will come out with some great spellings of some bigger words that people will be like, oh, okay. And then it'll come to something small, and I'll either use the wrong one, sort of where there are 2 sort of forms of that word, or like meat and meat. So yeah, it does affect people in different ways. Now let me just go back to my notes here. So I mean, reading, writing, and spelling are sort of the key things that people, sort of do know about. And one of the things that always really annoys me is when I put something on social media, if I make an error, you'll always get, especially if someone says something and you're saying something about what they've said or correcting something, well, not necessarily correcting, but giving an opinion or putting a fact down or whatever else, and then they don't have an argument to that, but what they'll do is point out where you've made the wrong spelling mistake or used a word incorrectly, and it's just like, just really pisses me right off, to be honest, because you don't know. There's a very much difference about if you're putting something on social media, or you're asking for comments on something, then people are going to comment, and that's fair enough. If I put something on and someone disagrees with me, that's fair enough. But don't sit there and be the fucking spelling police, because you have no idea how that's going to have an effect on that person. Just think before you do that, because if that person does have a dyslexia, you can be, depending on how they are mentally, or how strong they are, or how weak, how they deal with things, you could be having a real detrimental effect. So just don't be an asshole. People sometimes spell things wrong or use the wrong word. Shut up. Excuse me, sorry. Now, one of the really interesting things here, and this shows you how different it can be for people, it says they generally have very good memories in that piece. When I went for my test, they clinically told me I had no working memory at all. So I have, basically, I mean, I do have short-term memory, but not enough to actually say I've got short-term memory, which is why I can't remember huge chunks of my life. Now just take that into... Just think about that for a minute. Just think back about a time when you've hung out with friends, or a time when you were a kid, something that you remember. I've got no recollection of that whatsoever. I have very tiny fragments of information. It probably is in there somewhere, but I can't recall it. And I can remember working with a colleague who'd been a teacher, and we were talking about this actually, because I said basically it's when people who sort of normally use their brain, they'll use one side for one thing and one side for the other thing. We sort of generally bridge across the two. We use both sides. So where and I think that's what causes that creativity. I can't even say the word now. Creativity. By the way, Netflix, Discovery Channel, give me a call. I have ideas. Cool. But the way sort of the brain stores information, you will get a piece of information, and if you imagine your door, your let me just put that down for a minute. If you imagine your brain like a corridor, and off that corridor there's lots of different doors, and each door has a room, and in the room there is lots and lots of filing cabinets. What your brain will do, it will take a piece of information, it will go up the corridor, it will go to the correct door, go through that door, find the correct filing cabinet, pop that information in that filing cabinet, and then go back. So therefore, when you want to recover that information, it knows which door it's in, which filing cabinet it is, and what it's registered under, pulls it out, and you've got that information. What my brain tends to do, and this is sort of the example that I give, is it ignores all the doors, goes right to the one at the end, opens the door, and just throws it in on top of the big pile of information that's already there. So when I want to recall it, you've got no chance. Now, initially, when I was at school, I was diagnosed as having an eye and hand coordination problem. I was sent to see therapists and things like that because of that. It wasn't until I was in college and then university that, I was diagnosed as having dyslexia. I had the first diagnosis in college, and then because I went to uni as a mature student later, I think in my late 20s, early 30s, I had to be retested because my college test was too old. So that's when I had got the memory. See, this is what I mean. The memory information. So yeah, it is difficult. And this is just another way that I know other people that have got this. One of my best friends, and he's got a perfect memory. Me, no, I can't even remember I can remember families' birthdays. I don't remember phone numbers. I don't remember anything really. So yeah, coordination, memory, social. See, this is the trouble. I can't read my own handwriting sometimes. Social interaction is very, very difficult. And the funny thing is, I'm very good at like reading other people. I'm very good at. A lot of friends sort of rely on me. Well, not rely on me. Probably the wrong term, but a lot of friends, will often ask my opinion about things. especially when it comes to like people they're dealing with or seeing or dating and things like that, or if something's gone wrong, they'll give me a call, and I'm normally quite good at sort of working things out and giving advice and being helpful. The funny thing is, when it comes to my own personal life, I'm terrible, absolutely terrible. I'm absolutely hopeless. I don't know when I'm flirting. I don't know when other people are flirting with me. It completely goes over my head. And social interaction just scares the hell out of me, really, to be honest. I'm not very good at it. I always worry. I'm constantly worried about looking stupid. Which obviously is a difficult thing to sort of overcome, and it's something I've not managed to do so far. And it's like I've always been very careful about the situations that I put myself in. I try not to go out into situations where I might feel uncomfortable. It's like, but like there's people that I've known for years and years and years and years, and they've always said, "Oh, stay around our house or whatever, nights out and things," and I can't. I've always struggled to do it. I don't know why. It's something that I just really struggle with, and it's like when you go places as well. There's that, there's been times where I sort of wanted to leave, and I've thought, is it too soon? Is it going to seem rude? Am I doing the right thing? And then there's been other times. I mean, my friend Jade, she's lovely, bless her. When she used to live near me, I think she understood, because she has dyslexia as well, that it can be very difficult. So there were times where I was like, I'm tired now, I want to go, but I don't want to seem rude, so I sort of hung around. But there was always a point where if it was time to go, she'd go, "Oh, it's time to go." Okay, and it wasn't her being rude or anything like that, but it was an understanding that I needed to be told that. So there was always like a thing where that would work out. I don't know if that makes sense. I mean, if you have any questions about this, do comment or message me, and I'll be happy to help or go through anything further as well. Creativeness and visual. I mean, I am an expert merchandiser and like planner, and it's something I've always been very good at. And I used to work for a company, and they used to have set plans, and the ones I used to do never used to work for one reason or another, and so I used to always have to come up with different ones, and to a point where it just became they're like, just ignore and do your thing, in the store I was working in, and that was. But when I plan things, when I do things like that, I don't. I sort of do plan it a little bit, but I don't plan it on paper or anything like that. I plan it in my head. I visualize it in my head, and I start laying things out. And it's very much the same way for anything I do. If like I'm trying to write something, I will see the pattern in my head. The trouble is, and this is one of the biggest frustrations. I have so many ideas, and I'm very good at, well, not very good, but I'm not too bad at sort of communicating those ideas. Sorry, yeah, I hit the marker for it shutting off. But yeah, so everything is very visual. Anything I do, I generally will visualize it in my head. Whether it's something I'm writing, or sometimes even when I'm reading something, I'll get like a visual picture in my head as I'm reading it. But it is very frustrating when you have these ideas and these visions that you can't get them down on paper to send them somewhere. So Netflix, Discovery, give me a call. I have ideas. But it is great frustration, because one of the other things as well is that there'll be times where I'll have ideas and things like that, and I won't get them across, or I won't say them, or I won't put them out there, and then sometime later down the road someone actually then has that idea, and you think, I thought about that ages ago. And it can be a little bit soul destroying in that respect, but you have to do what you can do, I guess. And again, I mean, I spent a long time, because of different things that people had said, thinking I wasn't particularly smart, and obviously after having teachers say it's not worth teaching him, he's not going to do anything, he's not smart enough. It does affect you, and the thing is, I mean, when I had my test, they test your IQ, And you know, IQ doesn't. You can have a high IQ and still be stupid. Don't get me wrong. You can have a lower IQ and still be quite, you know, clever. But I mean, the average is 105 and mine's 138, so I'm well above the curve, so we say. And you know, but it does lead to a lot of frustration when you can't, when you've got these things going around in your head. And you know, you can't get someone to listen to you, or you can't communicate that, or you can't. You know, if you've got an idea and you want someone to listen to it, and you want to send it to someone, you know, and you can see it and you can picture it and you can explain it, but you can't get it down on a letter or an email or, you know, some kind of chart to physically show somebody. The frustration is immense. And I mean, because of that, it affects your confidence. I mean, confidence is a big thing. It's always been something that I've struggled with. While I give off so I'm told anyway, a confident vibe. It's pretty much all an act, because I'm not, you know, and it's something I've struggled with for a long time. And even just things as, you know, because of the whole, so, you know, having trouble with social interaction, and you know, not even to the degree where I can't remember if I said this already. You know, where I wouldn't, or I would try, you know, I wouldn't stay at people's houses when I was invited. I mean, when I was in my younger years, I did, and it used to make me feel physically ill. In fact, sometimes I was ill just because of the immense stress I would put myself under, you know, mentally about how should I be, what should I be doing, how should I be acting, am I doing everything right, am I doing things wrong? You know, the thought process is immense. You wouldn't believe, you know, you would think you would, I don't know, disarming a nuclear bomb or something. It's that kind of pressure that you can put on yourself sometimes when you know, when you've got these issues. And then, you know, one of the final things is how other people perceive it, because there is a perception that if you're dyslexic, you're not particularly smart, and that is definitely the opposite of it. And other people's perceptions is probably the biggest problem, or one of the biggest curses, you know, and you don't really need it when you've got so much going off in your own head already. It can be really detrimental. And sort of companies and employers are one of the hardest places. And I've often found that when I've been more open about it, it's certainly been a negative, you know, it's certainly had a negative impact. I mean, for instance, some years ago, quite a long time ago now, so, you know, I mean, it could be different now, but just to give an example, or a couple of examples I'll give you. I applied for a job with Ford, one of their dealerships, and I phoned up. It was a phone interview. And this is the trouble as well, because you can't prove these things either. It was a phone interview, and I spoke to the manager there. Phone interview was fine, answered the questions fine. Came to saying, by the way, I should tell you, you know, I'm dyslexic. He's like, well, we have a stock number. I said, I think it's what, a 4-digit stock number, and it has to go off the product onto the paperwork. Would that be a problem? I was like, no. I said, numbers aren't, you know, generally a problem. You know, if it's just copying it, that's fine. Well, I think it will be a problem, and hung up. That was the end of my interview. Had an interview via a recruitment agent for Audi. Again, I pointed this out. She said, what does it stop you doing? First question. Doesn't stop me doing anything. You know, and I told her, doing my best to explain. Needless to say, didn't hear back. But again, companies like Severn Trent, Aldi, Boots, and there was another one as well, can't remember, have a lot of online testing, even if you want a basic job with them. If you're dyslexic, you're going to struggle to pass that potentially. I mean, I can't pass them, I would say. I mean, personality questionnaires, I mean, I've had one for PCU before and one for Dixon's, and both times I did it, I got a near perfect score. But the test that sort of Boots and Audi put out there with mathematical equations and all these sorts of things, you're just never going to pass them. It doesn't mean you can't do the job, but you're never going to, you know, for me, I'm never going to pass those tests. And then obviously, if you have a phone call interview and you mention it, their sort of response is negative, the questioning or the way they approach it is negative. I mean, the biggest one was ridiculous. It was over 100 questions, I think. And you just have to, you think, what on earth? I mean, some of these procedures. I mean, I've been in management positions before, and I've hired people. I've put entire teams in place, and there is still, in my opinion, I know you get all these think tanks saying like, oh well, this will get you the right person that you need and everything else. Every time I see one of those used, I've always found them very hit and miss. Whereas if where I've been in charge of the recruitment personally, I've always just said, look, send me a CV. I've gone through people's CVs. I've got rid of the ones that I don't want. I've invited those people in for interviews, and that is the best way. By far, it's time consuming. Yes, I understand it's time consuming, but if you get the right person in at the right time, you don't then have to keep repeating that process. If you keep getting the wrong person or people that aren't quite right and leave after a few months, you then got to repeat the process and repeat the process and repeat the process. So which one in the end is more time consuming? I've always found it better to sit down with somebody, have a conversation, and because the thing about a CV is what is it shows you how people talk about themselves, how they vision themselves, or you can even if it's just a set of like qualifications, you can still see how they've laid things out. So there's and I've always found that's the best way. I'm getting a bit off track now because this is a whole different video really. We'll talk about business another time, I'm sure. But yeah, no, so the way companies perceive and the way companies still to this day are, sometimes negative, or not necessarily negative, but, are setting it up so people that have things like dyslexia just aren't going to be able to get a job with them. And I think that's quite poor in this day and age. And I think when it's some of the biggest companies, especially, that there are, not only are you missing out on a huge pool of talent, but, you're potentially making people feel really bad about themselves. So that, I think, really needs to change, and the government should do more about that. Anyway, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, comments, you want to know anything, or there's anything I can do to help you, if you struggled with something, or are struggling with something, then please feel free to do comment, or like I say, drop me a message or something. My social media links and things are on there as well. So thank you very much for putting up with me waffling on. My sister tells me I talk too much. She's right. But thank you anyway. Thank you. Bye.
Jet plane headed up to the sky, spread wings and the clouds getting